I expect them to say things like, she's the yin to my yang. You know, she doesn't complete me. That's some bullshit. But she helps me become a better person. I feel like I'm a better person because I'm around. I've learned a lot. I'm growing. I'm still learning. I don't feel cut off from anything. Most relationships are about what you can't do and what limit you because of that. I can't do this. I can't do that. But this relationship doesn't make me feel that way. This relationship means like I can do anything. I don't feel limited at all. And I don't feel like a different person. I don't lose myself in this relationship. I feel like I'm actually growing. I'm becoming a better version of me. That's what I would expect to hear from somebody that's like, oh, this is the one. He's going to make a bold claim like that. I want to hear that. That's what I want to hear. But I never hear that. What I hear is, well, I'll go into bars and I'll be like, well, yeah, I just don't, I feel like I'm old and I don't want to be that lonely guy at the What's shaking? Today, we're going to toss a little subject around the Danger Lounge, another philosophy, if you will. Welcome, by the way, to the Danger Lounge, where all your dreams come true, and every day is a Saturday night. And we're going to talk about a theory that, as far as I know, I invented. And this is called the Law of Social Inertia. Probably ask yourself, well, what the hell, Jason, is the Law of Social Inertia? I know what inertia is, right? It's an object in motion, stays in motion. An object at rest, stays at rest. This is a physics theory that most people know or are aware of. But I speculate that there is a social aspect of this theory that you can use to understand your social life better around you. The law of social inertia states is that a social object, that is you, that is in motion will stay in motion. A social object that is at rest will henceforth stay at rest unless something's to act upon it to make it get back in the game again. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to put this theory into some examples for you so you understand what I'm talking about. Now, when I was in my 20s, this is when I first discovered the law of social inertia. And I was going out easily 4 to 5 days a week, constantly, for better or for worse. And what I've noticed was when I would get a girlfriend, just everybody's been through this. You start going out a little bit less, then you stop seeing so many women, and you start seeing that one. Well, if you get in a committed relationship, you're not going out at all in terms of, or at least not that much, especially in terms of being social. You might be out, you're just kind of going through the motions. We've all been there. Besides being extremely depressing, the lifestyle of sitting home and watching Netflix and these sort of things, and not going out and being a social animal, a social being, what human beings are meant to do, which is to connect. We don't do that very well in this country, I find. I think the Europeans do this better than we do. But, we tend to isolate ourselves, especially post-pandemic. Correct me if I'm wrong. What I noticed is when I didn't go out for a while, especially when I was a little more unexperienced or inexperienced, like in my 20s, I thought to myself, that must mean I'm getting older. In my 20s. That must mean I'm getting older, and this must be the one for me. And I was, thankfully, I was wise enough to know, wait, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because that could just be that I'm used to not going out as much. Interesting. And maybe I'm sort of in a different version of, not say depression necessarily, but I'm not my ultimate self. Now, what happens in relationships a lot of times is they can be very isolating. We talk about isolation a lot in terms of creating a desperate sort of feeling. They can create desperation. It can. Again, we all experienced this very intensely during the pandemic, but even minus the pandemic, this can happen very easily. And what tends to happen is relationships can act as a paradox. For example, paradoxically, some people, and I felt this way, are more lonely in relationships than they ever are when they're single, which sounds strange, right? Because most people get into relationships to not feel lonely. So that doesn't make any sense, right, Jason? But when you think about it, if you're a social being who's used to going out and likes interaction, specifically if you're an extrovert, and you like to feel connected, and everyone likes to feel connected in their own way, just some people need less of it than others, extroverts versus introverts. And if you're not getting that interplay and you're not getting that social connection, you don't feel like you're included and you're sort of feeling like, I'm a bit of an outcast here. What's going on? It's not healthy. And what tends to happen is if you get in a relationship, the paradox becomes, well, wait a second. I'm in this relationship, but I'm not connecting as much with a lot of other people. I'm connecting with one person a whole lot. And I don't always connect with this person, but I'm with them a lot. Maybe I'm not connecting, but I'm with them a lot. And whenever you make a decision, a commitment, you're cutting off other things. So in those cases, it is possible that you're cutting off other ties with a lot of other people. Now, this is a lot of people don't recognize this because their intention was to get in a relationship to feel connected, but relationships don't automatically end there. Right? It doesn't end with you feeling connected. That's the trick. And a lot of times people don't realize that. They're not experienced enough to realize, wait a second, I don't get it. Why I'm in a relationship. It doesn't mean the relationship is bad, by the way, either. If you're in a relationship right now and you're feeling that way, like, oh yeah, I've been through that. I'm experiencing that now. Doesn't mean you're in a bad relationship. But it does mean that relationships can be isolating. And it's not always the answer for loneliness. Connection is the answer for loneliness. And participating in your criteria every week, really, every day if you can, the things that make you tick, things that make you fulfill, the activities, the people, the ideas, your purpose. That is what's going to make you feel connected. Whether it's other people or to higher levels of consciousness, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But that connection is what is going to be earned from staying close to what you're meant to do, right? What your personality lends itself towards, what sort of activities, what sort of people. And anyway, so another thing is when my buddies, or let's say the last 20 years, right? I've had many buddies get married. And of course, I'm the asshole dickhead friend that always comes along and says, what are you doing, man? You're just going to get tied down with this one girl, huh? Okay. All right. Why? Why? Congratulations. And I'm sorry, right? It's like a wedding and a funeral all at the same time, And I say to them, I say, look, I'm not here to be Debbie Downer, all right, or Johnny Asshole. I'm simply here to question, to make sure that my friend is doing the right thing. You're not supposed to say anything like that because you're being a dick, but I'm curious. Why? How do you know? Because just for me, like, how do I know that this is the one? There's 7 billion people out there. Half of them, more than half of them, are women. Why is it that I'm committing to this one? Especially in today's day and age, I want to know. And they'll say, well, and I can't tell you how many times I've gotten this answer. Well, this is what you would expect to hear. Well, there's no one else I'd rather hang out with, and she fulfills me, and she's my partner in crime. I don't want to hear best friend because I just don't want to hear that. Every girl that you end up dating ends up being your best friend, right? That's what most guys come in. That's impossible. You're getting a new friend every time you break up with a girlfriend. You get a new best friend, right? No. I expect them to say things like, she's the yin to my yang. She doesn't complete me. That's some bullshit. But she helps me become a better person. I feel like I'm a better person because I'm around. I've learned a lot. I'm growing. I'm still learning. I don't feel cut off from anything. Most relationships are about what you can't do and what limit you because of that. I can't do this. I can't do that. But this relationship doesn't make me feel that way. This relationship means like I can do anything. I don't feel limited at all. And I don't feel like a different person. I don't lose myself in this relationship. I feel like I'm actually growing. I'm becoming a better version of me. That's what I would expect to hear from somebody that's like, oh, this is the one. He's going to make a bold claim like that. I want to hear that. That's what I want to hear. But I never hear that. What I hear is, well, I'll go into bars and I'll be like, well, yeah, I just don't, I feel like I'm old and I don't want to be that lonely guy at the bar. Again, negative rationales. I don't hear people going into marriages and relationships going for positive. I'm here for positive reasons. It's always because of a negative reason, like, well, I don't want to be the old guy at the bar, or well, um, what else am I going to do? I mean, these are some of the rationales you get. You're like, super positive, guys. That's not the reason why I want to make any decision. You never make a decision out of negativity. You should never make a decision out of desperation whenever possible. And it seems like there's always that sort of mentality. And I don't think that's good. So I'm thinking, I just knew, I just knew because, I was going to the bar. I didn't feel like I belonged there. And, I felt old and, I just felt like I should be home with my girlfriend. And I just kind of knew that it was time now to settle down. That's how I knew it was time to settle down. Really. That's how you knew to settle down. Well, I shouldn't need to tell you how this worked out. 9 out of 10 times, within 3 to 5 years, I am hanging out with them again in a much more fun capacity. And they're no longer married to that person, and now they're dating someone else. Okay. Happens. This happens a lot. And, I don't bring it up, but I will say that happens quite a bit. And this is because of the law of social inertia. And what actually happened is those guys, and I've been through this myself, but those particular guys I'm talking about, buddies of mine, well, they weren't going out as much. They weren't connecting. Of course, they were feeling old, right? Even if they're in their 20s. Now, everyone knows objectively that's not old, but they were feeling that way. Feeling is not objective. They were feeling that way and they thought the time was right because what else, like it must mean they've heard that. That's like the Disney World version. It must mean that I'm ready to settle down now. No, because the law of social inertia states that a social object in motion will stay in motion. When there's a guy who's going out and he's having a blast, he feels connected, he's having fun, especially if he's an extrovert, and he's, work is good, things are going well. Very rarely is that guy going to commit. He's just not going to, because guys are hunters. Guys are, pushing forward. I'm not saying that every guy's like that, but I'm just saying it's very possible that he's going to stay in motion. He's not going to commit at that point. The guy will usually settle down when, all right, well, he's not going out as much. Maybe he's got a relationship going now. He's not seeing as many partners. Well, then you don't realize that you've isolated yourself. And it's a slow process of, I don't say depression because it's not always bad, but he's not striving in that way anymore. He's sort of existing, right? And he's not going out as much. He's not connecting as much. Certainly, he's not seeing as many people now. And now he's slowly, again, for better, for worse. I'm not saying it's bad or good, but he's certainly going to be more isolated than he was before. And now that object that was in motion is no longer in motion. So the object that's out of rest or that's in rest is going to stay at rest unless he's acted upon by, let's say, a divorce, or he breaks up, or he gets depressed. He's like, I got then he'll get back into the game, if you will. Maybe he's going back out. He's having a good time. And what tends to happen is that he'll stay in motion again, right? So a lot of times, a lot of men will mistake what happens when they're not socially active. That possible depression and isolation, that's certainly not being engaged as much in activity, in terms of social activity, they'll mistake that for being, this is the one, or now's the time for me, because I no longer feel like doing that. Well, when those guys get out of relationships after they've wrongly committed to the wrong partner, because they thought that was the barometer for what was a good partner, or now's the time for me to settle down, they settle prematurely, and when they get out of it, they're fireballs again. They're dynamic fireballs again. And why is that? Are they a different person? So suddenly they're not ready to settle down anymore? No, it's because it was just a poor barometer. It had nothing to do with anything. They weren't ready. They weren't not ready. You just can't use that as a social barometer. Feeling that way, whether it's isolation or whether it's like you don't feel like going out because you don't feel like being an old man at the bar, you're not going to feel like going out because you haven't been going out. So I can tell you through going through this myself 1,000 times. There'll be periods of time, certainly we all experienced it during the pandemic, where I was like, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm just going to sit here. I don't feel like going out. This is weird. This must be I'm getting old, even if you're in your 20s. But then you start going out again, whether it's after the pandemic or whether it's you break up with a girlfriend or whether it's you're just rolling, right? You just, for whatever reason. And you start having fun. You're connecting. You feel alive. And you don't feel that same feeling of, well, I feel like settling down now. It's time in my life where I feel like settling and this person is the one or whatever. That doesn't enter your mind because then you realize that was just the law of social inertia. And that's what it is. Hope that made sense. Until next time, guys. Be safe, not too safe. Live dangerously. Until next time.